Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Window Pro podcast. I'm Duncan McRae, and this is an anniversary time. That's why I thought I'd dress up with a bow tie and a nice shirt to celebrate the first year of the Window Pro podcast. Now, the episode isn't a best of kind of thing. That can get a bit boring, but it's more a thank you and a reflection of what I've learnt through the 12 months. Of course, I've learned a lot about podcasting and what works and what doesn't work, and all the editing bits and pieces that go along with this game. But what I've really learned is about the window cleaning industry. I've had a great time talking to guests from Australia, the UK, the US, and it's really helped me to learn so much more about this industry that I've been in for 30 years. I've talked to solo operators, I've talked to team owners, I've talked to suppliers, innovators, people who've got all sorts of fascinating stories. And you know what stood out the most through all that? Every single guest had something to teach us. So after 12 months of conversation, here's the thing. I'm more encouraged than ever about the window cleaning industry. Now, in this part one of the anniversary special, I'm going to focus on the people side of the trade, the confidence, the service, the value, what it means to build a good window cleaning business. We'll talk about all the other things like technology and software in episode 2. But this episode, we'll talk about people, because after all, they make the industry what it is. So lesson 1, the trade is full of great people. Now, it's easy to focus, and I guess this kind of stood out a bit in my interviews and the reaction to the interviews. It's very easy to focus on the negatives in the industry. Like, it's easy to focus on someone's undercutting my business, or they have poor standards, or they've got bad communication. And they exist, that's true. But the podcast has shown the other side to that. We've met thoughtful operators, really generous people who are happy to share the good things that they've learned. I've met skilled tradespeople who have done some remarkable things, people who are willing to share with you and I lessons that they've learned because they want us to grow. And that's really something special. It's made me very proud of the industry, actually. So my key thought here in this opening lesson is this. The key takeaway is that there are a lot of good people in this trade, and many of them are quietly lifting the standard every single day. So that leads nicely into lesson 2, and that is this. We're not just cleaning glass, we're building trust. And I want to thank Mark Nicol, Natasha Williams, David Baker, and Sarah Stock, who really highlighted this point. They made it clear that customers are not just buying clean windows when they hire a window clean. Realistically, this is what they're doing. They're buying reliability, they're buying good communication, they're paying for peace of mind, knowing that it's going to be a smooth experience, a pleasant experience. And you've got to remember that we're being invited into their office, and we're not buying from them, they're buying from us. We're going into their cafe, sometimes in the back part of the cafe, to clean drive-through windows. The customer doesn't go behind the counter, but we get to do that. We're going into people's homes. It's quite a privilege. That's the trust that they're paying for when they hire us. And so things like what Mark Nicol said, he doesn't take shortcuts because he's focused on having a good reputation. And if things don't work out, well, they don't sometimes, quickly making it right. You know, Natasha Williams, Kiss My Glass in Yorkshire, loves calling herself the tick on the to-do list. That's a really great way to look at it. People look at their windows and they go, got to get that done. Well, we get it done and we make their life so much simpler. Like a lady today, when I was doing a job, she said, oh, I used to do that, but I can't physically do that anymore. You know, we make things better for them in how we approach things. David Baker said, it's so important to be calm and professional in how you deal with that. And Sarah Stock talked about having community trust, being visible in the community. They're all things that are so important. So the key takeaway to this is that if people trust you, you're no longer just another window cleaner. You become their window cleaner. And haven't we all had that experience? Like, this is my window cleaner. It's like we belong to them. But realistically, that only happens when we do the turning up on time, the punctuality, the great communication. We do a really high quality job. See, trust will compound over time to the point where people will then leave you in their house by yourself while they go and do errands, knowing that they have trust in you. That's something pretty special that we can develop. Now, lesson 3, still about people, is that confidence is built up one rep at a time. And I'm thinking about Jessica Battle and Samantha Van Niekerk's interviews. They didn't have confidence at the start. Jessica has been very honest about her learning experience, working away for a company that she does in Michigan. She was a bit resistant at first to going to traditional after she'd had experience water-fed. But as she kept trying and through repetition, doing the sets, doing the reps, she tried different tools, asked questions, she kept going. She developed the skill set. And some of the learning experiences were out there for the public to see through her social media. And we chuckle and laugh, and she does too. But she learnt it through trial. And Samantha and her son Misha have worked at their business because of Misha's being on the autism spectrum. He has limits, but he has some massive strengths, and so they built their business around those strengths. They have clear roles. Customers trust them. Samantha and Misha's confidence grew customer by customer. So business doesn't have to fit a perfect mold, it just has to fit us, and that will give us confidence to make it work. So here's the key takeaway. Confidence often comes after action, not before it. It takes courage to start. Confidence will follow as we make that start. So there is never a perfect time to get started in business or to start a new learning experience or a different type of tool. Just do it. Ask questions, practice, give yourself grace while you improve. Or as we say, I often say, cut yourself some slack. Don't be super disappointed if it doesn't work out first. Confidence will grow, it's okay, and you'll be able to see improvement. And that transitions nicely into lesson 4 when we talk about confidence. And one thing that stood out, hidden amongst all these different interviews, was pricing confidence. That's a real trade skill. And a few interesting comments came from Mark Nicol, Paul Hickmont, Samantha, as well as Perry Tate. I often find that pricing, it's quite an emotional part of our business. And what I mean by that is we're not always super confident that we've made the right call on a price. And then we start thinking that maybe I've charged too much and I'm being greedy. And so we have a guilt thing happening there. And that's why I enjoyed what Perry said, that customers aren't just buying your time, they're buying the outcome. they're buying that. We've talked about the trust that built. You see, Samantha made a very good point. She said you are worth what they're paying you. So if we charge low prices, there's the potential for us to not feel that we're worth much better than that. But we have a pricing confidence that we're competitive, but people are paying for skill set, longevity, the experience. Then we will be confident that our maybe higher prices are worthwhile. It's important, just as Mark Nicol, to learn how to deal with price hunters the right way. So he has scripts that he asks a series of questions to determine whether this is just a price hunter or not. Because otherwise we just have these needless conversations that waste our time with people who aren't really genuinely looking for a window cleaning service that's going to service them for long term. We need to protect our standards. And if our pricing is at a good level, it minimises the risk of burnout or having to work for rubbish money. You know, it's a massive run to the bottom when we have low prices. And then we hate the work we're doing. Then we start to despise the industry, and it's not the industry's fault. So we need to have that, develop that confidence. So don't, you know, I remember cleaning a house for a lady. I'd given a quote for the windows. I was washing down one side of the house because it had algae on it. I gave her the price. She was happy with the price. She accepted the quote. It took me 2 hours to do the job. And I asked her, were you happy with that? Yeah, the job looks great, but I can't believe your price. And she said, I earn less than that as a university lecturer. So now there was a chance for a little bit of tension back and forth. And I said, well, is the job to your standard? Yes, it is. You accepted the quote? Yes, I did. Okay. So it's not, we can't be penalised for being efficient or having good systems in place. The thing is not to feel guilty that a job we thought was going to take 3 hours took 2.5. We don't reduce the price because of that. Otherwise, we're just pricing for the hours, not for the outcome. I learned a lot about that through this year. So remember, we're charging for skill, reliability, the systems we have in place, and the peace of mind that we provide people when the job is complete. Now, lesson 5 from this 12 months of interviewing people is that a successful business should fit the life you want. And key guests that talked about this were Paul Hickmott, Sarah Stock, Mark Easton, David Baker, and Sam Kelly. And here were some key points that stood out when talking to those operators, those 5 operators, that business growth won't be the same thing for everybody. I learned that bigger isn't always automatically better. See, Paul left his corporate job, started window cleaning at 55, which was just before the outbreak of COVID. But he was building his business as a runway for retirement. That was his approach because of when he started. Now, Sarah Stock on the central coast of New South Wales, her focus was just on organic growth, not having it happen too quickly, growing too big too fast. She didn't want that. Mark Easton changed to the window cleaning industry to leave a burnout situation to get greater life balance, and he still enjoys that to this day. And some of the others like David Baker, Sam Kelp, their focus was on family. Their focus was on building a business that was low stress, lifestyle first. It enabled David to walk the coded trail because of how he sets up his business. That's quite a remarkable thing to do. So my key takeaway from what I learnt from these guests was that a successful window cleaning business is not always the biggest one. It's the one that supports the life you actually want to live. That's the important thing. So in other words, the business should serve you, not you serving your business. You don't want that business to consume your life. You want it to support the life you want to live. So that allows you, so if we take something away from this, having more staff might be the right thing for some, but a solo approach might be the right thing for someone else. So build your business deliberately is a lesson I've learned. Now, of course, as I said, this episode's all about people, and it would be remiss of me not to champion the cause, which I'm doing now in this final lesson of episode 1, the women that made me proud of the industry. So I interviewed 4 women over the course of the end of last year into this year: Jessica Battle, Samantha Van Niekerk, Sarah Stock, and Natasha Williams. And it was fun talking to them. And those conversations really stood out. Like when I asked Sarah, what do you like about the industry? She goes, everything. What's there not to like about it? She was so pumped about how she loved the industry, which was really encouraging. And I interviewed them because they bring something different to the industry. They bring a different approach to what maybe has been a male-dominated industry for so long. They brought lessons of honesty, of courage, of resilience, of practical intelligence, customer insight. We all know that women can be far more insightful than us men. So they bring something to the customer insight space that is so important. They bring a fresh perspective. It was really fun talking to Jessica about learning and how she shares what she's learned online through her social media platform. To see how Samantha and her son are building their business around their strengths, around their family situation. How Sarah was looking for visibility in the community and building trust in the community. Natasha showed grit and real resilience in building her business. It really made me proud of the fact that we have a trade that people can thrive in, male or female. And it really helped me to see this. I guess this is the key thing when talking to those fine women, is that the window cleaning industry is stronger when more good voices are heard. So I'm very grateful for the guests I've interviewed. Part 1 has been about people, service, confidence, and value. What's part 2 going to bring about? Well, I'm going to look at systems, technology, safety, why learning is so important. We've learnt through this first episode and through the 12 months that the industry is full of good people. The best operators out there are not just cleaning glass, they're building trust, they're building confidence, they're building value in businesses that fit their life. But because the trade is changing, because technology is improving, the tools are getting better, the opportunities are bigger, we want to learn in part 2 what my guests taught me about those things, what they taught me about growth, safety, systems, and the future of the window cleaning industry. So I hope you enjoyed part 1. Look forward to part 2 and next week, and we'll see you then on the Window Pro podcast.